You know the vibes! Welcome back to another episode of the Hoop Genius podcast brought to you by NBA 2K23. I am Mo Mootsie. Alongside me, as always, the one, the only, Mr. BJ Armstrong.
Real name, Mo, no gimmicks.
Hey there, know the motto. BJ, it's Friday. It's Friday, so we've got to give the people what they want. We're going to answer some of the questions that have come in through this week in the Discord server. So earlier this week, we answered the question of building around Allen Iverson. Oh. And Missy B loved that segment, and she wants to know, who would you put on a team to build around BJ Armstrong?
Oh, build around. That's pretty funny. That makes me laugh.
So I think if we're building a team with BJ, right, we know how much BJ loves the bigs. Are we going to keep it to current players? If BJ played today,
today.
Let's do that. Let's do that because I think that'll be more interesting, right? I think we need a rim protecting big who can catch a lot of lobs. I think that's the first thing that we need for BJ's team.
Well, Mo,
what are you looking for in your five?
Okay, first of all, we got to humor ourselves. We all know no team would ever do that. Okay, but for the fun of it, who would I really enjoy playing with? Okay, I'm going to say that right now.
Yeah, but don't just say Giannis and KD and Steph.
No. It's going to really. But you're saying
you could fit in the salary. Yeah.
You saying me? Okay, you saying me? Okay, the big I would want to play with. Okay, the big I would want to play with most is Jokic.
Yeah.
I want to play with most. Okay, I had a chance to play with Vlade Divac. And we played for 1 year. And I'm going to tell you, it was so fun to play with him because you could run all types of things from the high post and just run around. I would imagine playing with Jokic because Vlade was it was great. And the guards.
For you guys listening who don't know Vlade Divac, or you only know him for being in the front office in Sacramento in recent years, Vlade was one of the first European players to really make a big impact on the NBA. As a big, he was an elite passer. Not as great as Jokic, but he was a very good passer.
Man, he was pretty good.
And my favorite part is he was a gritty player. He was on the defensive side, he was grimy. So that's Vlade Divac. Watch some highlights. I just want to, in case people haven't heard of these names, so I want to provide context.
As a big, I would have Vlade. Not Vlade. Sorry, Jokic as my big. I'm talking in today's game. So that would be my big. Okay, that would be my big. My 4-man or 5, depending on how you look at it, would be Bam Adebayo.
Okay.
Okay. And the reason I want Bam is because I want a big who could complement those two, who could both play perimeter / and we could spread the floor so that way the middle can always play open. The one thing as a guard I always enjoyed playing with was a guard, a post who didn't need the post all the time. Yeah, you want to be able to.
I wouldn't call Bam a spacer of the floor because he doesn't really operate from a spacing position. But he uses a lot of dribble handoffs and that kind of thing, but not spacing in terms of shooting like Brook Lopez would be spacing.
Okay. All right. So we get the same terminology. I don't like playing with stretch guys because stretch guys,
like a Porzingis,
I consider, stretch guys. Everyone just pushes you away from the screen, knowing very well that the stretch guy is never going to roll. Mm-hmm. See, I want to be able to play and read the play. If a guy pushes me to the screen, I read that play. If a guy pushes me away, I read that play. I don't want to play with a guy who just wants to be a stretch 5. That's just my personal preference, right?
Yeah.
You said build around me, so I want to play with. And the
I'm just giving context and examples for the listeners.
Yes. So the reason I like Bam is because Bam can shoot the mid-range. The mid-range to me is the key. So if I'm playing with a guy, I want to be at a guy who can slip the pick. He could catch from the free throw line and shoot it. He can roll. I want to be able to explore all of that. So Bam, and he would complement me for sure on the defensive end, and he would complement our other thing. So those would be my bigs. Those would be my bigs. Okay.
I mean, if we're looking at
My
a
my
realistic team, you don't have too much salary left to spend. Luxury tax. Luxury tax is coming for you.
We're all in the luxury tax. We're all in the luxury tax.
All right.
My three, of course. You know who I would love to play with. I was watching him yesterday, and then he was so good yesterday. I wanted to watch him again today because
Grant Williams.
Forget. No, not Grant Williams. Who I would really enjoy playing with though. Seriously, and all jokes aside,
KD.
Kevin Durant. KD.
Easy.
I was like, God, because you know why I love playing with him? I was watching him and I was like, he really knows how to play without the ball. Like, I was looking at him, I was like, he makes an impact on the game. And we know he's an elite level scorer, right? Everyone says 3 level. I don't know what that really means, but what I do know is Kevin Durant is an elite scorer. And he doesn't need the ball to score, which to me is like a fascinating thing because he could literally shoot every single time. But he doesn't. He knows how to play with other good players. Like he comes back and plays, and Devin Booker has like 37 points in like 33 minutes. And I was like, that's pretty good by Kevin Durant. Like that's really good. I would love to play with him. And another guy who I think would and look, because of salary cap, I would want to play with Jason Tatum too. Like I'm really beginning to have a really deep appreciation.
So BJ's team is all 6'9" and above, plus him.
Yeah, well, the only reason I'm not putting Giannis on here is because he's the obvious, right? You'll
say
Giannis is like.
So you don't have Giannis because Giannis is the obvious choice to be on your team.
Yeah, Giannis is the other. So if you want to know, my obvious would be Giannis and Jokic, Kevin Durant, and Jason Tatum.
Can you give me the 4 guys? Can you give me like a realistic one, right? So let's say you got a team and you can only have 2 max contract players, and then you got to have some mid-level players on your team.
Okay.
So you can only have 2 max players and 2 mid-level guys.
So mid-level. Okay. So
that's why I was talking about a rim protector.
Okay. My max players would be
yeah,
Giannis and Kevin Durant.
Okay.
Those would be my max. Okay. My big would be Brook Lopez.
I like that.
Okay, that would be my big. Then my 2 would be.
You got to be careful here because they be throwing the bag a lot. They be throwing the bag at Duncan Robinson.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think who my 2 would be. I would have someone like Drew Holiday is good enough for me. Like I would do Drew Holiday. I would do Marcus Smart. I would do someone like that. I would do someone like that. I would do. You know who I would do? I would do like Buddy Hield.
Yeah.
I would just to have spacing on the floor. You know what I mean? Like Buddy Hield is good enough for me. Like that's good enough for me. Just I want spacing. Caldwell Pope. I just want a guy who could defend, play.
Yeah, I mean, Buddy's making 23 mils, so that's not really mid-level right now. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well, maybe a KCP
in the new contract. That's mid-level in the new CBA. Yeah, that's.
I mean, after the next TV deal, that's going to be minimum pretty soon. Like the way the contracts are going to go.
That's
okay.
I mean, I would take like someone like you just want guys like that. You want guys like Josh Hart.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I would do like I would do Herb Jones. Like if you just want to for salary purposes,
yeah.
I just want someone who could defend, play their position because we know where the ball's going to go.
Yeah.
Like we know where the ball's going to go.
So for me, even though no one asked, I'm going to give you who I'd want to play with.
Okay.
And I'm going to give you 2 max guys and then 2 just normal players. I have to have Giannis on my team because I'm not getting down the floor in transition. I'm going to give the ball to Giannis and he's going to run, right? First of all.
Right.
I'm going to give Giannis the ball. And then the second player, you see, because I ain't got the legs for it, I'm just going to be in the corner trying to hit those corner threes. So I'm going to need someone that can draw in the defense. You know what I'm saying? So that's Giannis is going to draw in the defense. For my big, not for a max player, I want Valanciunas on my team. Because he's going to set solid screens to get me a little bit open. And if there's ever anyone kicks off on the court, I know he's got my back. And if we ever need to go down low in a post, I know he can handle business. He can shoot a little bit too. I want Valanciunas. I want Giannis. I've got me at the 2, I guess. And then I've got to put a 3 and I've got to put a point guard. The 3, I might have to put KD because he's going to get double teamed a whole lot, meaning they're going to leave me wide open because they're not going to be respecting my jumper. So they're going to throw doubles at KD all day long. And then at the point guard, I've got Marcus Smart because that's my guy. You know what I'm saying? That's my team.
Okay.
My team.
I'm not
so
mad
if my team plays your team, I got to guard you or KCP. I mean, I'm getting cooked either way. But if it's you currently, I'll guard you. If it's you in your prime, I'll guard KCP. But
you guys are funny. It's always you in your prime. You know.
Someone, do you know what? Someone said to me, one of my young G's said to me yesterday, right? He's talking to me about I'm getting back in shape and whatnot, and he goes, Mo, you know you're not supposed to be in your prime until 32. Why are you talking like you're old? You're 28. You're not old. You should be in your prime right now. And I'm like, bro, you're 21. You could dunk and everything. I'm like, bro, I'm way past it. But he's like, nah, man, come on. 32 is your prime. Get back to it.
Yeah, you're just entering into your prime. Well, you're 28.
Well, another question that came in, I think we've answered this a couple times before, is what current player reminds you of yourself? And I think the answer you usually give is CJ McCollum.
Yeah, CJ, you know, if there's a player, the way he plays, it would be CJ McCollum. So I would say CJ McCollum. If you ask me like right off the top, you know, honestly, I don't know how, if I were to play today, what that would look like, because it's such a different game, right? When I watch the game. But, you know, if you're saying just based on, you know, just watching the game here and never playing in this version, I would say CJ McCollum.
Mm-hmm. Well, in the Discord, we had a little difference of opinion here. Jack, our resident Sacramento Kings fan, thinks that Mike Brown should be a lock for Coach of the Year. But Andy, our resident Utah Jazz fan, thinks that Will Hardy should be a Coach of the Year. And here's his quote. He should be a Coach of the Year for getting a complete ragtag band of misfits and making a viable NBA team despite losing his leader and creating an all-star. Who do you have for Coach of the Year this season?
Well, you know, Utah, you know, Mo, the NBA players are really good. You know, they're really, really good. And even though many of these guys may not get the individual recognition, you know, that they did maybe in college or prior to the getting to the NBA, these guys are really good. And case in point with Lauri Markkanen, there was a reason he was drafted in the lottery. Sometimes it just takes some time for these young guys to develop and for them to come and find the right system that fits for them. I mean, Lauri Markkanen, Utah is the right place for him at this stage of his career. I mean, he just found a place it fits. He, you know, we always knew he could score, but he's scoring in a consistent clip now. So, you know, I just want to say, you know, these guys aren't misfits. You know, these guys are really, really good players. Yeah. I mean, these guys are like lottery picks. All right. It's a reason they were lottery picks. It's just, I get it, but I get what you're saying. Yeah. But if you're asking me today, who is I would say it's Mike Brown. And the reason said Mike Brown is Mike Brown, them are playing just like the Utah Jazz. They're playing meaningful games. But the thing is, God, I mean, they've had such a playoff drought there in Sacramento.
Yep.
That I want to acknowledge them because of the length of time. I mean, this has been a very difficult process for them. And for Mike Brown to come and do this in his first year.
And it's not like they're the 8th seed sweep. They're 11 games above 500, the 7th best record in the NBA.
Yeah, I just think he's been, I think he has pushed all the right buttons. They didn't have one All-Star. They had 2 All-Stars this year. They have a rookie that's contributing and starting, a rookie, okay, I might add, Keegan Murray. I mean, they just play a nice brand of basketball that fits them. And to me, that's just really a sign of a good coach. And he's really done an excellent job. They play fast, they defend, they get after you. And this kid, De'Aaron Fox, I mean, I think I heard this correctly. He's like the best scorer in the fourth quarter or something like that.
Yeah, he's been clutch as hell this year.
He's been unbelievable. And so I would say Mike Brown, and you know, you could put Tom Thibodeau in that.
Tom Thibodeau's done a great job. I think Jalen Brunson needs a lot of credit for that, though. Improving the Knicks. Listen, I think also Joe Mazzulla needs some shouts because the situation in which he came in.
Yeah, Joe Mazzulla. I mean, that's what I'm saying. These guys have done a really, like, Joe Mazzulla walks into, when you say the kitchen was on fire, I mean, he walked into a hot seat.
Oh, it's like Gordon Ramsay was job.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, but you could say give the Knicks credit. Give them credit. I mean, you know, those guys are, you know, it's always high expectations in New York. But if you're saying from top to bottom, and let's not forget this, the Sacramento Kings started off a little shaky at the beginning of the season, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were like 0-something at the beginning of the season, but they hung in there, and now they're playing great basketball. And I think he's been, you know, thus far, if you're asking me today, who's the coach of the year, I think it's Mike Brown.
We had a spicy hot take come in from Manda, who says Anthony Davis is the best two-way center in the league. And I said, I said Embiid clears him easily. And he goes, I think AD is more effective when fully fit than Joel Embiid. In your opinion, who's the best two-way, considering defense as well, two-way center in the NBA? For me, Embiid is levels above Anthony Davis because if you look at it, if I ask you what does Anthony Davis do better than Joel Embiid, tell me what he does better than Joel Embiid. Embiid's better on the post. Embiid's a better shooter.
I would say this.
Embiid's a better rebounder. Embiid's a better shot blocker, arguably.
This is probably the former player in me talking. I have a problem with that term two-way player,
because everyone should be a two-way player.
I mean, like what? It's like a badge of honor. You play defense. I mean,
yeah.
Everyone try. Like, listen, it takes a certain amount of physical ability to do the things that some players do. I mean, you take for instance, you take a kid like Jimmy Butler. I mean, he has some physical gifts that he could do that's different than, let's say, Dylan Brooks. However,
yeah,
I think it's required, or at least last time I checked, everyone should provide the effort and energy necessary. However, some guys are more gifted than others, right? Just because of their physical capability or mental ability that they can anticipate and do things in the game. So the best center that probably is the most complete. I mean, listen, I don't think there's anyone better than Joel Embiid when he's motivated to play.
Yeah.
When JoJo is motivated, there's just no stopping him. It's kind of like Shaq in a sense. When Shaq was motivated, there's nothing you could do. I mean, he was too big, he's too strong.
I wanted to talk about this the other day because we didn't get a chance the other day. Watching that Celtics Philly game, right? Here's what stood out to me on like a weird, nerdy technical level. When Embiid catches the ball, right, on the post, his decision making has become so quick now. He knows what he's going to do before he gets the ball. So now he's catching the ball and he's instantly pivoting, spinning, going baseline. He's catching the ball. He already knows where his teammate's going to be. He's catching the ball. He knows he's going to face up. He catches the ball. He knows what he's going to do. That, for me, this season has been better than ever before, is that maturity of his game. Because he's had the talent ever since he came in and played his first season. But it's now that refining it and, somewhat going on to increase his efficiency. If the numbers don't say it this season, they will in the future. That's the part for me of Embiid's game that I really love the most right now, watching him.
Well, JoJo's a very patient player, and that comes with age and maturity. And the reason that you need time to figure that out is because when you are an efficient offensive player like JoJo is, when you get the majority of the touches for your team, you have a responsibility to be the best player, and that is to be patient so that you can create offense for yourself, which is the obvious, but also you have to create offense for others. And JoJo, besides being a terrific offensive player, he's a really good passer for a big. So watching his patience, and great players always know how to get their work done early, meaning they know that there's a split second that they can have to operate, right? You want to be quick in your decision making because that's key for any team that's a good team. You need your best player to be quick in their decision making process because the difference between getting a good shot and a great shot happens that fast, right? If you hold the ball just too long, that allows the defense to rotate. And these guys are such elite athletes that you need to make decisions quickly. So give JoJo credit for that. He understands offense. He understands spacing. And I think, Mo, that's a good observation by you because he is an elite offensive player, especially in a game today where it's a little guy's game, right? But he's a big guy who's found his niche within this, and he does an exceptional job.
Yeah, there was just that one possession where he didn't, and Jaylen Brown came and stripped the ball. And then after that, you could see the difference in he was catching the ball and being aggressive straight away. We've got one more from our boy HD Ready, who says, "What's up, though? Seeing as they can't all get Wemby, which of the retooling teams has the most potential going forward as currently constructed?" He's hitting all the BJ Armstrong catchphrases. He's got what up, though? He's got retooling. He's got constructed. So we're talking here about the Houston Rockets, the Detroit Pistons, San Antonio Spurs, Charlotte Hornets. I don't count the Orlando Magic in the same group because I think with Franz and Paolo, their levels ahead. But maybe we can include them. Maybe we can include Indiana. Which of those guys, if there was no draft this year and they just had to continue, has the best roster going forward as currently constructed?
So you're saying Indiana,
Orlando,
Detroit,
Charlotte,
Orlando,
San Antonio,
Charlotte,
Houston.
San Antonio, and Houston. Well, when you say best, that's a very subjective thing. You know what? The best thing for Wembanyama is to go to a situation to where, in my opinion, and just watching him play from afar, is to go to a place where he can play 3 positions, really 6 positions, because I count offense and defense as 1 position, right? Because so the obvious in watching him is if you just said he's going to be a 5 in the NBA, that's not going to work.
He came out in an interview and said he wants to play the 3. He doesn't want to be a 5. He said he wants to be a 3.
Okay, that's fine. Everybody wants to be a 3, but Mo, here's the let's give our viewers, our listeners, our viewers, we got a complete picture. We play a game now where it's positionless basketball. Okay. Yep. Just in case anybody watches the game like you and I, there are no positions. Okay.
Yep.
Shooting, the best shooter in the game, supposedly, and 15 years ago, he would have been placed as a point guard. And his name is Steph Curry. And because they play a different game now, they allow a traditional guy who would have been a 1 to run around and shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And they allow guys who are 6'7", 6'8" now in today's game to play the center position. So if you just want to be 1 position, you're probably not going to be an effective player up here.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're lucky enough to draft a guy like Wembanyama, okay, he's 7'5". There's something called rim protection that's absolutely necessary in today's game.
Yeah.
Okay. So why have a 7'5" guy who's going to be chasing on the perimeter and we're not going to take advantage of his ability? So what I think he is saying is the following, or what I see with a guy like him. You can't just place him at the 5. He doesn't have the girth now to just hold that position and play at the physicality of their game. There's no way right now he could bang with Embiid Jokic, Clint Capella, and these guys. These guys are big. These are big guys. He just doesn't have that. However, with his size and length, I do think, he will affect the game. If I just put him at the 4 position, and playing against Al Horford and these guys, I'm not sure how that would work. If you Giannis and these guys, if you just put him there, Bam Adebayo, I'm not sure how that would work. However, if you could move him around and find the best matchup for him, like Claxton, for instance, I thought that's a good matchup for him. What's the big kid for Cleveland? Jared Allen. They're good matchups for him, right? Mm-hmm. I think they're good matchups for him.
Yeah, because they're not going to be posting up trying to body him down low.
Yeah. So I think with him, his greatest asset as a player, wherever he goes, will be his versatility. I personally would not be afraid to put him at the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5. I would just put him everywhere because he can really shoot the ball, Mo.
Yeah.
He can, and there's guys who can shoot and they learn how to shoot. Well, he can really shoot. So I would just find the best matchup for him every night and let him play because he's just a player. I mean, Mo, the guy is a really fascinating player. Like, in order to coach him, Mo, I'm going to say this. Whoever is lucky enough to have an opportunity to coach him, I think he's going to require that you have an imagination. Because you can't just put him in a place.
We've never seen him anything like this before.
Well, he could, if he turned out to be some type of point forward, I wouldn't be surprised. Well, when you watch him dribble, Mo, he's crossing over at 7'5". Yeah. And he's doing this so if he was a guy that suddenly he was a 4 and he was the guy who was pushing the ball on the break, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Because he is that gifted. So I'm not sure what he is. Maybe he knows. So maybe he will settle into his career as a 3. Maybe he views himself as that. However, in today's game, though, Mo, he could affect the game right now with just his shot blocking ability. Like right now, he's Rudy Gobert alone.
Yeah.
Okay. But he's so much more on the offensive end than Rudy Gobert that I think we would be doing him a disservice if we just made him into a 3, a 4, or a 5. I mean, Mo, he is a fascinating player. Like, I'm really excited to watch him. So that's just my personal opinion.
So if we get back to the original question, though, say the draft this year wasn't happening, which of those teams at the bottom that are in the race for Wemby, as it were to speak, has the best rosters currently constructed?
Well, here's the thing. Okay, I want to play along with what you're saying. However, here's the truth. It doesn't matter what those teams currently have because all those teams are going to be, he is the difference maker.
Yeah.
So every team is going to build him.
The question is, if there was no draft and they had to just move forward with their current rosters, who would have the best season next year?
Doesn't matter with a player like that. It doesn't matter. Like, okay, so if you dropped him off in Houston, like,
yeah, but it's not involving Wembanyama. It's saying if no one got him, because not everyone can get him.
If none of those teams got Wembanyama next year, who would have the best roster?
Yeah, let's say for example's sake, if the Lakers miss the playoffs, they somehow get the number 1 pick, and he goes to the Pelicans. He's off the table for all these other teams. Who has the best team going forward?
Well, I think that if you look at the roster right now, I would think the Pistons would have the best team.
You think?
Yeah, I mean, if you say the Houston, and the reason I say, you say, okay, let's look at the Magic. Well, Cade Cunningham is not playing.
Yeah.
I mean, Cade Cunningham.
Wiseman is looking good.
That's what I'm saying. Cade Cunningham, like, he's going to be +10 alone.
Yeah.
He'll put 10 wins alone when he comes back. So and I like the guard play of Markelle Fultz, but I think Cade Cunningham will do the same as Markelle Fultz with this team. Yeah. And we all know guard play is the key to the NBA. And I think the other kid, Ivy, will be much better. Yeah. And along with Dern and Wiseman, and I mean, if you just said now, I think out of all those teams, if you just said if you didn't add anything to the Rockets,
yeah, that's the question.
or if you didn't add anything to San Antonio, I think, I'm watching Halliburton this year, right? I'm going, okay. I'm not saying that Cade Cunningham will be an all-star next year, but I expect him to be 18 to 22 points a game next year.
Yeah.
And I don't think Halliburton would be that much better than Cade. I don't think next year, if you just said, who's going to be a better player. So I think if you just said, looking at their roster with not adding anything to it, I think they'll probably have the best team.
Well, if you guys enjoyed that and you enjoy having your questions answered, make sure you sign up to the Discord. That is linked in the description of the show, where you can put your questions in and we will answer them live here on the Hoop Genius podcast. That's been another week. We're going to be back on Monday morning with more. It's going to be an interesting weekend in the NBA, BJ. We've got a couple interesting matchups going on that have caught my eye. Obviously.
Well, Mo, can I say this, Mo? Can I say this?
Go ahead.
I'm fascinated with the Phoenix Suns right now.
Well, that's what I was going to say is on Sunday, they're facing the Dallas Mavericks. A little KD and his new team against Kyrie and his new team. A little revenge game for Phoenix after what the Mavs did to them last season in the playoffs. That's what I'm going to be keeping an eye on. Nice early tip-off for us as well. So we're going to be back breaking it down on Monday with more. But until then, make sure you subscribe, leave a review, leave a rating, all that good stuff as usual. And most importantly, get buckets.